Wow, what a beatdown by Nebraska. 28-10, the final score of that game in Lincoln. Let's go over the 5 highest graded players quickly for Nebraska in this game. Highest graded player was Tommy Hill, the corner, who had a pick 6 in this game at an 83.4 grade overall. Ramir Johnson, the running back, with a 78.2. Ty Robinson, the D tackle, at a 72.4. Nate Borkircher, the tight end, at a 70.1. And Dante Dowdo at a 69.6. So 2 running backs really playing well for Nebraska in this game. Let's go over to Colorado, Dalton. 2 highest graded players, Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter at corner, 81.3, and Travis Hunter at a receiver, 73.4. Linebacker Nakai Green-Hill at a 72.7. Dallin Hayden, the running back, at a 71.6. And Shedeur Sanders rounding it out at a 69.3. For you, Dawn, in this game, what went wrong for Colorado, really? What was the stat that tells the story here?
It was everything in the trenches, right? And we're each going to get to a side of it here. I'll go with the defensive line, and it was something that concerned me last week against North Dakota State. They stopped the run well, but they didn't get a whole lot of pass rush on Cam Miller last week, and they got not a whole lot this week on Dylan Raiola either. They got 11 pressures, but just a 58.1 pass rush grade, no sacks, and through 2 weeks, they're 98th in the country in pass rush grade and only have 1 sack from their defensive line. I think yesterday BJ Green was the only player on their team with a pass rush grade of at least 70. They're not getting to the quarterback, and obviously they're struggling in the trenches on both sides. And eventually the run game, you saw the run game for Nebraska starting to work, and they were getting some fun stuff going too, like jet sweeps and things like that. But BJ Green, Deion Hayes, those 2 guys especially, they were brought in as the pass rushers. They brought in a bunch of run stoppers. I do think that's gotten better. And yesterday they just gassed out because the offense in the first half just couldn't find anything. But they're going to need more pass rush when you talk about they have to face Arizona and they have to face some of these other really good offenses in the Big 12. It's going to be a problem if they just can't rush the passer, especially without blitzing. And then we talk about if they have to blitz a lot, then they get back into the man-to-man stuff, and then they have other issues. And there is so much in this game on both sides that in the trenches they just got dominated. And I think it's a problem because they have so much talent. I've told you before, and I will stand by it, and it's only 1 loss. And look, there's time to come back, and we say this with all the teams. They have the talent to win like 9 games. They do. They have the athletic talent, the quarterback, a lot of others. But if they walk in and it feels like the same thing every week, doesn't it? Where we just go, they weren't good enough in the trenches again. They weren't good enough in the trenches again. And maybe, I don't know, maybe another game or 2 of this, we may just have to accept that they're just not going to be good in the trenches. Yeah. I don't know what other way to put it, and is it just on both sides, and you're getting into the other side now, they can't overcome, even with all of the weapons they have and a good secondary that they have. They just can't overcome getting nothing from their pass rush, and then the next part that you're getting into right now.
Yeah, the pass protection also. I mean, and this game was rough. And I know you mentioned last week how Nebraska had to get after Shedeur Sanders. Well, they did that in this game. They had a 48% pressure rate allowed, Colorado did, in this game. Off the edge especially, what was a really big issue. Tyler Brown, the right tackle, allowed 9 pressures in this game. Jordan Seaton, the true freshman left tackle, allowed 7 pressures in this game. As a team, they had 6 sacks allowed as well. And last week, Shedeur Sanders was outstanding under pressure against North Dakota State. Had like a 90 passing grade under pressure, was elite. This week it wasn't the case. He was 3 for 9 for 25 yards under pressure. Obviously 6 sacks taken as well. He was taking hits all night from Nebraska, and we knew this could be an issue with the Colorado offensive line. It's like, yeah, they brought in a brand new offensive line than last year, but does that mean it'll be better? We don't know. We got to see. And in this game, it certainly was not. They really had a lot of issues blocking, especially off the edge from Nebraska all night, and that really just stalled their offense, honestly, because they have talent. Like I said, talent on the perimeter. They have great quarterback, really good receivers, but if you don't have protection for your quarterback, you're not going to be able to do anything. And that's why Colorado only put up 10 points in this game.
Absolutely. And I'm really, really impressed, too. Ty Robinson on the big monster, Ty Robinson on the inside, number 9. That's an NFL player.
He made some money.
That is an NFL player. I love watching him. He is just a big monster on the inside there for Nebraska. But no, you're absolutely right. You can't. We've seen it in the NFL. We see it in college. You see it everywhere. You can't function if your offensive line plays like that. In the run game, too. I mean, their running game is just non-existent. right?
Yeah.
And for as much as I hated the stat they kept getting thrown out there last night about they have negative 27 rushing yards. Well, okay, he's up now because the sacks, the whole NCAA sack rushing yards thing still kills me. But it's still true that their running game's non-existent too. And their running backs through 2 weeks, Max, have 25 carries for 81 yards.
Oh.
It's just not, you can't.
It's like 3 yards a pop.
I understand teams that go, okay, the screen game and the quick passing game is an extension of our running game. But in this offense, it's not an extension of anything. There's nothing to extend from. They don't even have a running game. So they're either going to find it, and there's a boatload of teams in the Big 12 that can run the ball. Yep. Almost, I think all of them. Is there a team in the Big 12 other than Colorado?
I don't think there is.
I think they're the only team.
It's a prerequisite to join the conference.
I think it was. I think it was, and they might have missed the boat. I mean, they're the only team in the Big 12, I think, that can't run the ball at all.
Yeah.
And they were dead last in the country in rushing last year. It's a problem. If they don't put this together in the trenches, they're going to have a season similar to last year. They are I think they're one of the widest variance teams in the country. They have the athletic talent to win 9, 10. And they have
the trenches, man.
And the trenches, you get games like this where they give you no shot at all.
Yeah. So, Dalton, he wasn't one of the 5 highest graded Nebraska players in this game, but you were still really impressed by the true freshman quarterback Dylan Raiola. Tell me why.
I think I was more impressed with him in this effort than I would have been if he threw for 350. Dylan Raiola understood the assignment. Okay, let's look at his line real quick. Okay, 23 for 30. 185 yards, 1 touchdown. That was actually his worst throw of the night. That should have been picked off. One touchdown
turnover-worthy play.
That one touchdown was also his one turnover-worthy play. It was actually his worst throw of the night.
The rare one.
And through 2 games, an 82.7 adjusted completion percentage. Okay, and Raiola, look, even Patrick Mahomes had to learn, right? When Tyreek Hill left. I know I'm going there. I'm going with the other twin. Even when Mahomes lost Tyreek Hill, took him a few weeks, and then as the season went on in 2022 and then into 23 and even now, he understands the assignment. This game for Nebraska was not going to be won if it was Shedeur Sanders versus Dylan Raiola. That's the scenario where Colorado would have won the game. It became Nebraska versus Colorado all the way around, all 22 guys, more than that, and special teams, everything, right? It became team versus team, and Raiola understood his place in that. Run the offense, throw accurate passes, make a couple big plays, the big crossbody throw late in the second quarter. There are going to be times, there's going to come moments probably this year where, okay, Raiola has to be that guy. This was not the game. And the fact that he understood that and played so efficiently and made the right decisions, and even times when, okay, take a sack, throw the ball away. Remember, we keep talking about the poise, right, with Raiola and just how he looks like a veteran despite being a true freshman. It showed it. And I don't think it gets said enough that quarterbacks deserve credit in games. Even though he graded like around a 68, that's all they needed from him. Mm-hmm. Do what is needed. And I knew it. I was like, I think Nebraska could win this game if they play like they did against UTEP last week. There was balance, and it was a team effort. And it wasn't Raiola. He didn't have to go out there against UTEP and throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. He didn't have to do that in this game. There will come a time where he looks like a Heisman candidate, and he's doing that because he's the best player on the field. They don't need him to be that in this game. They may not need him to be that for a few weeks because they may walk into Ohio State now, October 26th, after this effort and their schedule coming. They may walk into Ohio State undefeated. Yeah. And what a burner of a game that is going to be if they're both undefeated. If Ohio State can beat Oregon and all of that, that's going to be the biggest Nebraska game in a long time. And then you will see if they can manage it like this or if Raiola has to be the superstar. But the fact that they didn't force him to be the superstar in a high-profile game last night, that's everything to me. I think his poise and his presence back there is a huge asset to this team.
Yeah, true freshman Dylan Raiola just did not lose the game for them. That was huge. And like you said, like if they get into a game where you got to go throw for throw, Shedeur Sanders, even though Raiola's got amazing potential, Shedeur Sanders still beats him out, I think, right now. So that would have been a game they lost, but you're right. Like that, they didn't force him to make it that kind of game in this one. So that was impressive. You mentioned the Nebraska front 7 already, how impressive they were already. But the Nebraska coverage unit, I also want to highlight here. They were really, really good in this game. Tommy Hill, especially the corner, who is, I think, one of the most underrated corners in the country. He had that back-breaking pick 6 for Colorado, where it was a 7-0 game. Colorado's deep in their own territory. We're like, okay, Shedeur Sanders has always been known for making these long 90-plus yard drives to score touchdowns. They tied up here. We got a ball game. Boom, pick 6. And it was like, Now we're in trouble.
The morale, even more than
trouble.
14-0 late in the first quarter. That was like emotionally backbreaking.
Exactly.
Because now even if Colorado wanted to run the ball, they're not going to do it. And Nebraska's just proven, we can make a play now. Last year they didn't make any plays in the secondary like that, and to make a play like that early, that's emotionally backbreaking for Colorado.
Yeah, 76.4 team coverage grade. Tommy Hill 83.7. Tommy Hill also had 4 coverage stops in this game as well. So he was maybe the best player in the entire field for Nebraska in this game, and he actually was the highest graded player overall in this game as well. So that kind of tells a story with him. So yeah, Nebraska's coverage unit, I really want to highlight too. They really did a great job. The pass rush did a great job, and the coverage unit. It really was all around defensive effort to completely shut down Shedeur Sanders and Colorado.